Hello everyone, this is Charlotte, and this is probably my very important podcast before I head into my 2-week holiday. This is a podcast where I talk about random topics while reversing into people, it seems, because I live amongst old people for some reason. There's a disclaimer at the start of this podcast because I talk about random topics and I don't stick to one. I do tend to ramble and mix in between topics, so you'll hear a lot of stories under different labels. I do swear a lot as well. I've been going over my transcripts recently, editing, and I swear a fuckload, and my Word doesn't like it. So it's been kicking those out. So I'm like, I'm gonna have to go back and put in all my fucking swear words. We need the authentic side of things. This is gonna be a long one, I'm sorry. I know it's gonna be a long one because it's the final one before my official 2-week holiday for my teaching job. And I'm heading down to my parents, which is not fucking fun. For several fucking reasons. I don't actually enjoy visiting them. I don't know if they can tell. Every time I go up there, we know you don't like family stuff. It's like, I don't like family stuff. I really don't fucking like this family stuff. Actually, tell the truth, it's you two. I don't like you two. So, you know, it's going to be interesting. Hence the reason for the topic for today, which is intergenerational trauma. Which actually got kick-started this morning when I woke up crying. So that was, you know, that was me having a horrible dream, or PTS dreams, about my childhood, which is always fun. Yeah, it wasn't a great one. It was horrible and confronting, and I just didn't, it was not great. So when I woke up, I, you know, burst into tears sort of thing. And I don't often do that. It's not one of those kinds of things where you need to instantly start crying. I'm just watching old people without inability to drive. It was not a great childhood, and some things remain, even, you know, 20, nearly 30 years later. So for this long trip, I'm going to be talking about intergenerational trauma. It's not just mine as well. It's pretty rampant in our generation, be it the millennial generation, probably Gen X. They've got it hard too. If you want to go on the intergenerational levels. Wish I bought a coffee, to be honest, because this is going to be a fucking long one and I haven't got the energy for this shit. But here we go. Right, let's start with me. Fabulous. Okay, so where did I come from? I came through a poverty cycle, obviously. My mum is the result of the same or similar kind of poverty cycle. My grandma had it better. Her mum had it better. My dad came from a poverty cycle as well, somewhat. He was better off than my mum. But, you know, it wasn't exactly gained through kosher means, shall we say. So, you know, he had it better off, but it was a bit corrupted. My granddad Bob wasn't exactly the most straight and narrow of people. He was very bougie. He was very egocentric. He was a narc, obviously, because it was all about him and what he could do, and wasn't he fabulous, you know, sort of thing. So he set the tone for my dad, who was intensely insecure about himself. He is ADHD himself. If he was ever, you know, he had the guts to diagnose himself, I'd say he's ADHD, because when he was a kid, he used to terrorize my nanny. Never sat down, always up to shit, just like my brother was. So when my brother came around, you know, he got, you know, the shit kicked out of him, whereas my dad didn't. So my dad grew up being an only child, very selfish, single-minded, didn't really consider other people, took it into the family to do the same fucking thing. Hence the reason he's got Peter Pan syndrome. He doesn't see anyone else, he sees himself. That could be just being an only child. Not every only child gets that. Generally kids get socialized in school. If you didn't grow up with siblings, then at least you're going to get them in school. Or a form of siblings, and that's they tend to make their friends in the schoolyard as brothers or sisters, or, you know, extended family sort of thing. They get adopted or adopt other people as part of their family. It's like an extended thing. My dad didn't really have a lot of friends. He had some male friends, but that was about it. He wasn't particularly popular as far as I knew, so he didn't really get the socializing thing past, you know, the influence of my granddad Bob, who was basically a man-ho as far as we knew, and that's the reason why my nanny and him broke up, because he wouldn't stop hoeing around. My dad, as far as I know, is clean. in that regard. He didn't hoe around. But at the same time, the bravado, the toxic masculinity is there, so he took on some of those traits. That bullshit, me first kind of bullshit as a sign, and you know, that whole control of other people as being a sign of dominating, when in reality it's just domineering. It's a weird toxic intergenerational thing there. And that's just my dad. He's got Peter Pan syndrome, wants to control everything. He's absolutely intensely paranoid. Could be, you know, diagnosed as BPD, to be honest. But, you know, wants the illusion of having control. Doesn't actually want to do anything. So when he offers to help, it's not real. You know, he's like, sure, we'll do this. At the moment with my house thing, for example, he said, oh, we're gonna wait till you get a mortgage and then we're gonna give you an offset account and it's gonna help you with the tax or whatever it is. I'll believe that when I fucking see it at this point. I don't trust him. I don't believe him. I don't, you know, and that's from, you know, nearly 40 years of experiencing him as a person. I'm going, yeah, all right, that's a nice idea. And I know that you're trying to appear helpful, but from historical experience, you know, I don't believe any of this shit. I know that you're trying to appear helpful, but if this is your love language, lying, I don't appreciate it and I don't like it. So he's going to do that as soon as I get down to the farm. It will be something stupid like that. And you sit there and think, look, empty promises are not a love language. Either you do them or you don't. If you can't do them, don't put them on the fucking table. Don't get people's hopes up and they start investing in this idea and this, you know, thinking that, you know, for the first time in 38 years, I can actually rely on you for fucking anything. You know, don't do that. It's sick. So I'm not even entertaining the thought of that at this point. If anything, it would just be another control mechanism for them. It would be a case of after they do it, they'll be saying, oh, look at this stuff that we did for you. Shouldn't you be grateful? Shouldn't you do us some favors? And it's like, well, no, because this was your idea in the first place. Why? It's like, well, I wouldn't have done it. If you were going to turn around and do this, then I wouldn't have asked. I didn't even ask you. You just said you were going to do it. It's, you know, it's a constant control thing with that man. It's weird. We want to control you so we can get something out of you in the end. That's the thing. It's like when my granddad Bob died and I went to go, I didn't even really get an option there. I was homeless at the time. So I went to go live in his house. He died, I think, God, what was it? It was Valentine's Day, February. He died, we think, February, because we found him 2 days later. The house was vacant for a while. They were worried about people squatting in it. They knew I was couch surfing on my brother's house because I was homeless and I had nowhere to go. So they said, why don't you go and renovate Bob's house and you can live there for free. And when you finish renovating, you can pay us rent. And I thought, fuck that. I'm not paying you rent. My life is falling apart. I need your help. Why don't for once you be a fucking parent and help me? But they're like, oh, no. I didn't confront them about it. I'm like, all right, I need a house. I need a place to live. I will go and live there. And I did renovate it. No, I did not pay them rent. I left it half finished, to be honest. I did the inside and I did the, you know, decorating and all that shit. I didn't do the garden very well because I got fed up. It was me doing everything and working and trying to get myself out of debt and stressed about divorce and all this kind of shit. And they didn't give a fuck. As long as I was doing jobs for them, that was it. And this is the kind of people they are. They don't actually care. They just want to get something out of you. So I'm quite happy to just bail on that fucking project. They took over afterwards because they wanted it sold and gone so they could make some money off it. It was more than halfway done, to be honest. So it was, you know, I'm sitting there thinking, my life is falling to shit. I need your help and support, your emotional support. Help me, please. Be my parent for once, you know? Nope. You can pay us to live in a house. That's your inheritance anyway. Actually, no, tell the truth, they took my inheritance. Bob left us, my brother and I, $50,000. The first thing my dad did was take it and put it into his mortgage. You'll get it in the end. It's like, oh, well, how soon's that, fucker? Because I'm homeless and in debt. So, you know, these are the kinds of people that raised me. I'm going, what the fuck is wrong with these people? They didn't have kids. They had resources that they could utilize for service or rent money or, you know, it's like always that transactional shit. I think that comes from Bob. I don't know, because he was always about the money. This is why I hate people with money. It's It's like, because you don't see it as a tool to help other people. You see it as a way to control, manipulate, and exploit other people. They had money to help me at the time, right? I was thinking, you fuckers, you absolute pieces of shit. You know, I'm homeless, I'm in debt, I need help. I need you for once to be a fucking parent. Can you please be even emotional support? They didn't even know I was getting divorced or I was separated for like a year. It's like, I know how fast gossip travels around my house. My parents have, my family, essentially. I know how fast it travels. They always got a word about something. They just didn't fucking care. It didn't benefit them at the time until Bob died and they needed the house renovated. Then suddenly, oh, we heard you needed a place to stay. Fuck off. They're bastards. These are not my parents. I swear to God. I don't know who the fuck they are. They are not my fucking parents. I refuse to admit that. They're legal guardians, maybe. DNA donors, I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't look like either of them, so fuck it. You know, I do wonder some days if I'm adopted. Or, you know, I don't know. What do they call it? Fostered. I don't know. Whatever. I don't trust them. Anyway. These are my first point of contact. So that's intergenerational trauma. Could have been a result from Dad being with Bob, like being raised by Bob, who was always about exploitation, money, and the more I hoard, the more I accumulate, the better I am, the better person I am, and I can hold it over other people, and it's, you know, that crippling control. Because they borrowed money off of him when he migrated over to Australia, over here, to buy their first house, and then he held it over their necks for years, and every now and again he'd say, I want the money back. And they were paying him back, but they just weren't paying him back at a speed that he wanted them to. And I don't even know what he had, I don't even know what the arrangement was really. All I know is they'd taken enough for a deposit. That's not a lot compared to, you know. But they ended up giving it back. He bought himself a house as well, enough with the proceeds. And he just spent the rest of the years manipulating my dad and causing arguments, as far as I see, which then trickled down to us as kids. Bob started arguments with my dad. My dad started arguments with my mum. My mum took it out on us, physically, emotionally, psychologically. It was a long chain of us getting fucked in the end. If I could draw it on a big whiteboard, I'd show the spider's web of catastrophe there. And when someone who turns around and says, you're just catastrophizing, I'm like, well, no, actually, I've got lines and a marker. Bring out the crazy person string, I'm going to make connections. But, you know, it was weird. My mum came from... My grandma was from Galway, right? Roman Catholic Galway, strict nuns, kind of discipline. If you don't comply, you get the shit kicked out of you. That passed down to my mum, who was not Roman Catholic. I don't know what she was. She was Christian for a while. I don't think it matters anymore. Then she went Jehovah's Witness, but she kept that kind of cultural strictness with us. Where, you know, there's a constant threat of guys being rapists and pedophiles and things like that. And you don't leave the house. You definitely don't go anywhere unchaperoned and all this kind of thing. It's very, very strict parents. But at the same time, in the home, when they had us, she was a complete evil woman, you know, and she won't admit it now. Even in the dream I had last night, I was trying to tell her, it's like, you did stuff to us that have made us fucked up now, and we can't function as supposed normal adults because of what you did to us. And she's like, and then in the dream, she just fucking had a fucking berserker seizure near enough and stormed off. And I'm sitting there going, this is exactly how it was like when we were kids. It's like my mum is stuck, I think, in some kind of teenager tantrum kind of mentality, whereas if she's confronted by anything, she just berserkers it and fucks off. It's like, what is this? It's like, well, we can't even talk about things you've potentially done or have done, to be honest, according to my psych. We just can't take accountability. You know, it's that lack of maturity to understand what damage she's done to her kids and what he's done, my dad as well, to us. All four of us are fucked in the head. It's weird because they're not even willing to look at what could have been because it was passed down. It's intergenerational. The discipline forms of just smacking, like using your kids as human jukeboxes. When they don't work right, you smack them or you punch them, like the Fonz, you know? and that'll fix him. It'll correct him, line him up, and keep him going. It's like, no, actually, that caused more damage and trauma than the original correcting, the thing that needed to be corrected. None of us, the girls especially, we were not deviants. We were not in any way the kind, at the start when we were kids, in any way that would step out of line. My brother had ADHD, he was nuts. But the girls were very submissive at the start. My mum hardened us up, essentially. We were compliant in learning things like domestication. There was nothing wrong with that. But any semblance of copying what my brother was doing, we got the shit kicked out of us for. Me especially, because I was Joe Jr., man. I was my brother's little mascot, essentially. I followed him around like the plague, you know? So I got quite a dose of it. Although I didn't really copy him a lot. I just wanted to be with him because he was cool. But, you know, it's a good 5 years age difference between us, so I was probably an annoying little shit, to be honest. But I love following him around and watching him hang out with his guy friends, and I'm like, yeah, I'm one of the guys too. What are we doing? What's Warhammer? I don't know. Let's go paint some shit. Okay. But, you know, it was fun. Sorry, I just saw a speed camera and just saved myself $100. Woohoo! Budgeting. But my parents are mental. They didn't have any kind of filter when it came to disciplining the kids. It was just a case of, if it doesn't work, either shout at it, go berserker, or hit it, you know? My mum was the one that hit. My dad was never allowed to touch us. Actually, towards the end, my dad started trying to punch us. I was 16. I do remember the reason why I left the straw that broke the camel's back was me lighting an incense stick from one end of the house. He could smell it. And he came running up the fucking passageway, because all our houses, for some reason, in the 90s have passageways. And all the bedrooms are at the back and all the living rooms are at the front. And I could hear him coming. What the fuck is that, sort of thing? And he's straight into the room. He starts trying to punch me. I'm like, what the fuck is this? I lit an incense stick. And his thing was, fucking lighting incense sticks. Your mum can't breathe. I'm going, well, you know, I couldn't breathe when she was dragging us around the room by her hair. So fuck it. Maybe it's revenge. I don't know. My younger sister still has vivid memories of being dragged around by her hair up passageways and things like that to get shit done. My mum was a hands-on parent, but not in a nice way. But, you know, it's shit like that, and you sit there and think, how the fuck could I ever trust you or rely on you when you're this aggressive and violent? And I was, 16 at the time, so I was in my anorexic era. I was stick thin, frail, female. This arsehole comes bolting after, and he's built. At the time, he was bigger than me, fatter than me. He's huge. How am I supposed to defend myself against some guy who's got fists coming at me as well? I'm sitting there thinking, what the fuck is this? That's fucking trauma right there. That's not just a case of you don't smack your kids around. It's like, this guy's actively trying to beat the shit out of me. And that's the kind of shit that fills my dreams, you know, when I wake up and I start crying. So it's like, the fuck? It's really weird. And if anyone argues, like, you shouldn't smack your kids, that's the kind of shit they're talking about. They're not just talking about, like, a smack on the fucking butt or something. I don't know. What is normal smacking? Because I know I didn't get normal smacking. So can someone please reference that? What is normal smacking? Because my mom and dad grew, like, shoes, spoons, belts, a lollipop, massive lollipop on one side with my brother. It was always whatever she could get close to hand. It didn't matter what it was. It was not controlled. It was not measured in any way. It was just violent physical aggression. And it was rage, and it was stored rage. And it was hers because she was frustrated about being married to a dickhole that couldn't support us, wouldn't support us in any way, and her having to do everything. And she wasn't exactly fucking solid herself. Mentally. So, you know, and her go-to methods for making things work was what she's always known, which was hit. She got smacked around her kitchen a lot of times as a kid by her mum. This is the kind of things that we're trying to break, though. Common sense would have said this is not conducive to actually helping anyone or anything. In fact, it just creates problems because now you've got insurgency and no one wants to visit you because you're an asshole. But she didn't. She said, here and the now, I can only see this is the result that I really want, and I'm going to do it, and fuck it, I'm going to smack this kid around. And for now, it would be compliant. And in the end, it did nothing because it undermined any kind of foundation for emotional security or safety or anything we had with them. And now we just don't want anything to do with them. I was watching a TikTok the other day. I know, TikTok is terrible. As a Reddit fan, I feel mortified by myself. But there was a really good thing where this guy was saying that my love language is touch. And my love language is touch, really. Which is why no one's allowed to touch me. Except that one person who I'm allowed to touch. Which is why, monogamous relationships are so significant for me, because no one else is allowed to fucking touch me. Sure, you can sleep with everyone, says my ex-husband. I don't want to fucking sleep with everyone. Oh my god, long story short, let's go. We're going there as well. I've got it on a post-it note later in this podcast. But at the same time, it's like, what was he saying in the podcast? It's like, my love language is touch, right? My parents' form of discipline was touch. So how can you expect me to enjoy the prospect of being touched by my parents when they come to hug you and stuff like that, when their version of touch love language is hitting? It's something like that. I'm sitting there I'm watching this and I'm going, I fucking agree, mate. This makes perfect sense. Like, how can you want someone to touch you in a good way when they've shown you that the only thing they know is how to touch you in a bad way? It's the only way. Because my parents did. They didn't hug us. They didn't. And it's not just a case of, my mummy didn't hug me enough. It's like, no, my mum didn't hug us and she beat the fuck out of us. That was her love language, touch. My dad didn't touch us at all. Right until he started trying to threaten to punch me. So I'm like, and that was like 16, 17. So it's like 16, 17 years of having no fucking intimacy with either of my parents. All it was service, acts of service, constant. What can you do for us? And even now, I'm heading towards my parents' house, and I swear to God, as soon as I step out the car, it's like, can you just do this for me? It's like, no, actually, because I like boundaries now, and I've been to a psych, so leave me the fuck alone. But I'll try and find a tactful way to do it. It's ridiculous, because I want to help. Part of me is saying, these people are getting old. Obviously, they need help. But at the same time, I sit there and I think, you bought a farm at 65. You're an asshole for the majority of my life, including abusive tendencies. I don't want to help you in any fucking way. I don't want to even be here talking to you, quite frankly, because we have not got any kind of relationship. And every time I turn up, you tell me to do things. It's not even a case of asking, because they've conditioned us so much to just be compliant and people please and get the job done and do it. That is not asking anymore, it's telling, and that's the way she raised us. She used to say, I'm not asking you, I'm telling you, do it. And you sit there and think, that goes into the back of your mind whenever you get asked to do something by her. It's not a case of asking, it's doing. Like, you feel compelled and forced to do something. It's like, I don't want to. But also growing up, if you don't do it, she'll hit you. So it's like, what the fuck? It's like, there's no choice, there's no free will anyway. You took away my free will. And now you're giving me a conditioned response where I don't even, as an adult, want to help you. Because you're not asking me for help, you're telling me for help. Because I know I've been conditioned when I was a kid that if I didn't do it, you'd hit me. And now my brain's saying if you don't do it, she'll hit you. It's like, I'm nearly 40, she's not gonna hit me. And if she does, I'll fucking hit her back this way. Like, I'm not putting up with that shit, I'm too tired. But it's the weird conditioning, Pavlovian's response. It's like, she'll ask it as a question, but realistically, it's not a question. And this is where you've got to really hold on to your fucking boundaries, because as a people pleaser, because I am, to a degree, I want to help. I want things to go along nicely and to be soft and squishy and nice and everything works. Because I don't like the chaos, because I was raised in it. I hate it. I really don't like it. And if I ever do have to go into chaos again, it's not going to be fucking pretty. It's not. So I avoid it at all costs, sort of thing, I try and stay as calm as possible. I go to fucking gym, lift the weights so I can keep my fucking PDS responses down. I elevate and de-elevate so I know that if I'm in a stressful environment, I don't kick off myself, so I can keep shit together. I've done everything I can to try and, counteract this shit that my parents have put in me from fucking birth, it seems. And then to have this walking into the same circumstances or similar circumstances where they're expecting result from the conditioning that they've spent the last 20 to 25 years trying to push on me. And then they also throw on the why aren't you loyal to the family kind of shit. And you sit there and think, what am I being loyal to? Exactly. What am I being loyal to? Are you saying that I should enjoy being smacked around? That I should enjoy being controlled and lied to? That I should be constantly serving you, feeding your ego, your narcissism? It doesn't make sense. And then any kind of independence I have is shat on. Any kind of achievement I've had goes unrecognized. It's just this constant self-promotion, but they won't see what they're doing. They don't want to take accountability for their actions because it might mean that they're wrong or that they fucked up, you know? So like narcissists can't admit that they fucked up. That's the good thing about knowing yourself. Is like, I know I fuck up. I have no problems. Like, that's how I know I'm not a narcissist. I will openly admit when I fucked up. I'm like, ooh, that fucking hurt. Or, oh, let's try not to do that one again. Narcissists can't. They cannot admit that they are at fault. Always it's someone else's fault. Always it will be, oh, this is what we had to work with at the time. It's like, that's not an excuse. That's just you trying to band-aid the solution so you don't have to get blamed for being an asshole where you physically inflicted pain on your own children. But that's what we did at the time. It's like, fuck that. Think differently. Did you like it when you were growing up? Then why are you passing that on? What? It's not the right thing to do. It was just around at the time. You know, I mean, how many... Oh, fuck's sake. I can't get it. I can't understand how... It can't be a whole generation of thick fuckers. You know, it just can't be. Bearing in mind, I do think my parents are still mentally stuck in the teenage years. Because they do tend to have outbursts. It's like selfish outbursts. And you sit there and think, toddlers do this. I'm old enough to recognize a toddler when I see it in a human adult suit. So why are you doing this? This is ridiculous. And in turn, you end up parenting your own parent. Because the fuckers don't want to grow up. You sit there and think, why did you do this? It doesn't make sense. Because your logical brain, which is the recipient of immature parenting, knows from experience why these events occur, not from any kind of... Yep, he's going to die soon. Yeah, but you've learnt it through cause and effect, not because someone's told you it. My form of rebellion was to actually break out of that shit and start putting up boundaries. I didn't go and do drugs or anything. I didn't drink heavily. I didn't, sleep around or anything like that. My form of rebellion was to get out of an abusive household and into a safe zone. I was trying to get a safe zone. That was it. Unfortunately, I married an asshole with more problems than me. Mental problems, and I will go into those next actually, because he's quite interesting. I figured it out this morning where it's all coming from. But it's my constant goal. Even now, my constant goal is to find safety. That's it. It's like I have no need for materialism or greed or any of that shit. Any money chasing right now is just to provide a safe zone. It's going to be a house or an apartment, one I can afford and live within. I don't want a fucking Maserati or any of that shit. I just want somewhere safe to be and exist. That comes from shit-ass parenting mixed with the men that came afterwards that failed me. And just pressure and tension. And I just, I want somewhere safe to be. Somewhere quiet where people aren't fucking getting at me all the time, Just always. You always feel like you're fucking under fire. You do. And it's coming from all fucking angles. And you're like, I just want to get home or safe. Somewhere safe. That's what it is. And right now, I'm heading right into a fucking fight again. And it gives me the shits. I hate it. That's why I hate visiting my parents. Because as soon as I go through that door, they're going to start shooting again. And you're like, fuck you. I don't have time or energy for this. I'm already tired. I just walked off of a term of teaching with the kids shooting at me. I'll keep the ball running there. I've been patched up and stitched up, and I keep running with that game, and I finally get some time myself, which I've scheduled for tomorrow actually, and I'm just going to pass the fuck out, because you do feel like you're constantly living in a fucking war zone. You don't get a chance to stop and heal And bearing in mind, you never fucking heal, really. You're constantly on the move and constantly patching up. But it's the nice idea, you know? But, all right, so that's my two parents. Okay. Now, I could go as far back as to say, like, my grandma was Irish. So there was probably a potato famine in there somewhere and a bunch of rental evictions. But I'm pretty sure she was well off, actually. So, bearing in mind that she had, like, 8 brothers and each of them were pictured with a Rolls Royce. So it's like, yeah, she probably came from something. Her bitterness or anger might have come from being taken out of a wealthier position. She was a gypsy, but she was like a well-off gypsy. She was one of the ones that, you know, made it. Think Peaky Blinders, but Irish, from Galway. They came from wealth, but she married into not wealth. So the environment was stressful. Already in that sort of gypsy blood sort of thing, she wasn't able to move. Like, even I get itchy feet, and I'm like, descendant of. I can't not travel. So, you know, if I stay in one spot too long, I get stagnant, I get angry, I get really fucking ragey. You know, it's weird. But anyway, so that's been passed on. My younger sister at the moment is fulfilling all our dreams at the moment. She's fucked off to a different country and she's just living life. My older sister has planted her feet and bred. So is my brother. But my brother keeps traveling back and forth to Germany and stuff because that's where his wife comes from. My voyage, my constant traveling is back to the UK, and every now and again, I usually go about 2 years, every 2 years or so, because I just want to get home. I don't want to travel around there and just feel like I'm in some kind of civilization. It's a bit more different from Australia. It's a very different. It's supposed to be like derived from English culture or something like that, mixed with Americanisms and shit like that. It's supposed to be similar, but it's a different feeling. I miss home. So my grandma was plugged into this relationship with he was a nice man as far as I saw. He was a bit of tearaway when he was younger, but when he got older, he leveled out. But she had no money, she was stressed, she couldn't move, so she turned to drink. She was an alcoholic. She used to make her own bootleg. You can imagine the cliches. Alcoholic woman, barefoot and pregnant most of her life, 4 kids, no money. You can imagine why she turned to drink. But she was violent towards my mum and her sisters. My mum had 3 sisters. There's 4 of them. That trauma got passed on to us. My mum had 4 kids herself. I don't know if there's any kind of links towards what she knew as a kid and any kind of, you know, antagonistic sort of things she had with her siblings, which were passed on to us. Like maybe, you know, there were familiar traits that she saw that she just didn't like, and so she took it out on some of us. Quite possible. And those grudges are transferable, even if it's a different person, if you see there's certain behaviors which trigger them. So she might have seen some of those, which explains why she smacked the fuck out of all of us, mainly. But it's the aggression that came from my grandma as well, which was passed on to us. Now here we have a choice as the next generation. Do we pass that on ourselves? My younger sister and I have chosen not to have kids because of this shit. Well, partly because of this shit, partly because it sounds like a fucking cop-out. But, you know, I've watched what happens. Neither of us are particularly interested in investing. It's like, wow, that sounds really horrible. My brother had his kids to pass on the name and then had 2 girls, which I find hilarious. Although I kept my name when I got married, so fuck it, maybe they will too. I think he wanted a boy to try and fix what my dad fucked up. Honestly, that's why he's pushing for a boy. He's very sentimental in that regard. He just wants a little version of him. Although he has got a little version of him. The firstborn is very much like him. Looks like him as well, which is, yeah, definitely no problem with maternity tests there. It's like, she's yours. For sure. The second one looks more like the mother. My older sister had 2 girls, one out of wedlock, and then she married the guy. I don't know if it was a shotgun wedding. I don't know. But she ended up marrying him. She seems to be all right. There's a few flaws there that I can see that I wouldn't tolerate, like he doesn't like her belief systems. But then she keeps it hush-hush. So while he's out doing his whatever fly-out work, she just practices whatever she wants to do, which is being a Jehovah's Witness again. So it's another version of my dad, really, because my dad's a huge bigot about Jehovah's Witnesses, or any religion in particular. So she's married slightly a version of my dad, as far as I can see. But he's generally an okay guy otherwise. My brother married a version of our mum, but like a nagging version, not so much a physically violent version. He feels like he needs to overcompensate with his behaviors to keep her happy. I would say she's a narc too, because she's constantly trying to get her own way, and if she doesn't get her own way, she nags. I'm sitting there thinking, you can't get your own way about everything. And I've said before, if you listen to the other podcast, she goes on about his weight. And the only reason he's getting bigger is because she keeps whinging, and he's an emotional eater. But she won't recognize that he's an emotional eater. She just keeps nagging him. So I'm not sure how emotionally invested in that connection she actually is, if she can't recognize that's how he operates. I think if you're going to be with somebody, you're going to marry them, you've got to know everything about them. Absolutely everything. I knew all about my ex-husband, except for the fact that he wanted to stick his dick in other people. I'm going, where the fuck did this come from? That's the only thing I didn't understand. Really. I mean, we were in each other's pockets for years, since we were 17. But my brother is very much under thumb by his wife, which is why, you know, when I was homeless and I needed a couch to sleep on, she was the one that passive-aggressively pushed me out rather than him. He said, yes, absolutely, come and stay with us. She pushed me out because she had guests coming, even though the guests didn't actually fucking come by the time I'd left. So, yeah, she just didn't want me there. So I know she didn't want me there. I'm like, okay, you got your own little space, you're trying to keep your own little kingdom or whatever, I know, whatever. But it showed me where my loyalties are coming from. My brother, I'd drop tools for. Her, I'd leave her to die in a ditch. But is that extreme? I don't know. It's just things to remember when you get back on your feet is who actually helped you when you really needed them. This is not a case of I'm constantly asking you for help. This is a case of this is a one-off extreme example. I had never asked anyone for help. I'm coming to you now. Can you help me? And she did the whole, I want to help, but I don't want to help sort of thing. And you sit there and think, okay, I'll remember this. But when you need something, I don't want to really give it to you anyway. So, you know, it's bullshit. I hate how people do that two-faced shit. I hate it. At least, if, you know, if I don't like you, you'll know. It's like, she's not holding back. She's like, no, she fucking ain't. She hates liars. If I don't like you, you sure as fuck know. If I like you and I'm being polite, then, you know, it goes hand in hand. I'm very obvious with my emotions. What you see is what you get. Pretty much. I don't feel compelled to lie because I don't want to fit in with anyone. I don't want to belong to anything. So there's no need to, like, lie and fake it. Just to go along to get along. It's like, there's only me, so fuck it. No one else is helping, so fuck it. That hyper-independence is not always a bad thing when you're surrounded by people that you can never fucking rely on. Starting at ground one, starting at base, in the home, with your own fucking parents. So, what next? My brother's got issues. Yep, my sister's got issues. My youngest sister is trying to get a boyfriend, I guess. She likes guys, but she hasn't got the skills to talk to them, really. To tell the truth, I got my ex-husband by just sort of latching onto him. I just sort of claimed him. I didn't really have the skill sets, because I am autistic. I didn't really have the skill sets to do the whole flirting shit. I just don't have them. If I have them, it's very fucking either subtle or I just don't know what I'm doing half the time. So I am generally try to be friendly. I cannot flirt for fuck. I can't, man. I just can't. If they aren't obvious about it, I'm not going to pick up on it. And it's, I suppose, a good thing, but it does help you, like, well, makes you miss out on a load of shit. Because as soon as you get a boyfriend in high school, suddenly all these guys come out of the woodwork. It's like, oh, but I liked her. And you sit there and go, what the fuck? Where, how? What? What does that mean even? Oh my god, it was mental. Fucking weird. I finally got a boyfriend who's now my ex-husband, and suddenly these guys turn up and go, oh, I actually liked you. I'm like, why didn't you say anything? Why didn't you do anything? Why do you guys wait till it's too fucking late? It's like, I don't have the subtlety radar thing. You're gonna have to literally fucking tell me. And then it's like, well, I didn't want to make it obvious. It's like, what is this? I don't do hard to get either. I don't understand hard to get. It drives me nuts. And then the guys have this thing where they play cold, and it's like, what is it, cold and aloof or something like that. And then you just think, oh, they don't like me at all. I'm not going to chase someone who doesn't like me at all. You know? It's like that cold and aloof. I'm hardcore. It's like, I'm unemotional. It's like, well, that's not going to help the situation because I need emotions, you fucking idiot. What the fuck? How are we supposed to build an emotional connection if you won't even fucking look at me? Doesn't make sense. You know? I don't want this hardcore badass, I have no emotions, therefore I have to stay stoic or some shit like that. You call it stoicism. I call it you being emotionally unavailable asshole who's hard to read and I can't relate to. You're not even giving away like the signals, the body signals of shit that's helpful. You know? It's like you could tell when my mum was not happy, she smacked us around. There was no silent treatment. You know, my ex-boyfriend used to give me silent treatment. I'm going, I don't know what the fuck you're doing. I don't understand. I'm not saying you need to smack me around, but you do need to say something. You know, I don't get the subtleties. It's not that I'm thick. I'm just not fucking mind gaming people, you know. And this seduction shit, I don't get that either. I'm hands-on. If I like you, you'll definitely fucking know it. It's fucking stupid that these fuckers play these stupid fucking games. What are you getting at? I don't get it. What do you mean? I fucking hate The Notebook. I do hate The Notebook. I feel like the guy in The Notebook. I saw it once because I'm like, oh, this is a romantic movie and I like romantic movies and shit. I watched that scene where he's asking the dumb chick, and she's a dumb chick because she shouldn't be going for this guy. He's fucking mental. But he asks her, what do you want? And I fucking related to him. I did. When it comes to guys that flirt, what the fuck do you want? You know? So what do you actually want? I don't know, it's not that easy. No, it is fucking easy. What do you actually want? No, what you want me to believe is that you want just sex and booze. That's what it was. That was the confusion. Because I wanted the long-term relationship. This is my ex-boyfriend. I wanted the long-term relationship with a depth, emotional connection, and shit like that. You wanted a fuck buddy with beer. It's we are not the same. But then they throw in the whole, it's not that easy. No, it is that easy. You just don't want to say it because you come across as an asshole. You know, that's what it is. Oh my God, would you just change lanes already? Christ. What is the deal with minivans? Do they have no spatial awareness? Probably. That's a big car. Anyway, so moving on to the next one. I've got many stories. No, I don't. The next one. All right, so let's talk about my ex-husband and how fucked up he is, because that's fun. You can totally turn off because I am just ranting. I'm trying to figure these things out in my brain so that they make sense. You know, I'm looking for the logic in the illogical. Because otherwise you just sit there with your autistic eyes glazed over, humming and dribbling, and you're going, I don't get it. So I'm trying to make connections. Now, my ex-husband is the product of a shotgun wedding, hands down. She, I think, is something like 8 or 9 or 10 years younger than her husband was. She divorced him. She got pregnant, I think she was 18 when she got pregnant, and he was like 25, something like that. My maths is off, I know, I'm shit. It's Saturday. Give me a break. But she was 18, he was about 25, some shit like that. Maybe 30, I don't know, he was really old. She got pregnant, they got married because it was the thing to do. It's boomer parents. You can't be an unwed mother, it's bad. Then they skipped country and had a second son. Funny enough, my ex-husband reminds me a hell of a lot of Andrew Tate. And his brother is not as suave as the younger one. He's a bit goofy, actually. I liked my ex-husband's younger brother. He was funny as fuck. Goofy little shit. Only a couple of years younger, but it's the same dynamic. The oldest one is the leader, as far as I can see, and the younger one goes along for like hijinks, as far as I can see. Same dynamic. My ex-husband has the same arrogance, which is unattractive, but I didn't see it when I was with him, so I don't know. where that came from. Maybe it just sort of bled into it. When I first met my ex-husband, he was very quiet and he just kept to himself. And he had a group of male friends, but he was a quiet, tall one. Not quite the leader, but, you know, he was nice. I liked him quiet. Not saying that men should be quiet in a kind of subservient way. I'm just saying that's my type. Quiet. I don't like extroverts. I already have that hypersensitivity to men in the area. I know when I'm being watched. As long as you stand still and just be quiet, I will feel somewhat safer. As soon as they start strutting around, I'm like, oh fuck, what does it want? And it's not going to be good. Maybe I'm just overthinking that. But, you know, he was lovely. When he was younger, he was quiet, he was introverted, he was just, I didn't have any problems with him. He didn't come across as arrogant or anything, he was soft. This is at 16, 17 years old. I grew up with him in a relationship. We grew up together. I divorced him at 33. Well, I separated from him at 33. So we knew each other a fuck long time. Half our lives. So I saw changes in him over time. There was no significant change up until the last 6 months of the marriage. No significant changes. So I have a strong feeling that someone got in there and did something with him there. Something happened where it swayed him so significantly that he was willing to throw away everything. Could have been me. Maybe I was boring. I don't know. I do tend to be a safe person. I'm craving safety, so I am a safe person. I try and make things as safe and as boring as possible. Somewhat. I won't go out to bars drinking and shit like that. I can't stand nightclubs. I hate roller coasters. It's like my interests are very safe, soft interests. I go to art galleries and museums and shit like that. I'm boring as fuck and I love it. You know, my ideal night is a night in, having sex and eating and sleeping. That's what I like doing. I was old before my time. I never went the clubbing, night clubbing route. I don't like it. It just leads to a lot of emotional hurt and damage from people, and I just don't want to get involved in that shit. I never did. I might have tried it once or twice because my friends thought it was an idea, or because my siblings, like my older sister was heavy into clubbing. She got kicked out of a few places, but yeah, anyway. My brother did a more vanilla version of the clubbing with his mates. My older sister was she was a bit of a much. I went the opposite way. I'm like, if we're going to a pub, I want to listen to some music and have a pint and that's it. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to be hit on. These days, if I ever do go to a pub, it's to watch a UFC fight and drink a beer and eat some chips. That's what I want to do. I don't want to be hit on. I don't want to talk to anyone. I just want to be in a dark room, watch a fight. Just leave me the fuck alone. I'm pretty much a guy in that regard, if that is a guy thing to do, because we are pretty much diverse fighting generals at this point, right? I do not want to talk to anyone. I'm not a talker. I don't like it. To be honest, it makes me very fucking uncomfortable. Anyway, just thinking about it. So, like, talk to strangers, why don't you? That's how you make friends. You know, one of the more tragic things in life is being one of those heavily introverted people and then realizing that you have to talk to random strangers if you want a boyfriend or anything, or friends. That's horrible. I don't like that. You mean I actually got to talk to them, look at them, and interact? Fuck. I got the first one so easy. It was just high school. It was easier in high school. People weren't out to try and fuck you over so much. Yeah, it's strange. But anyway, I divert. What is it my Phoenix says? I've got a kid called Phoenix in my class. He's year 3. He says, I digress. That's what he says. Clear as fuck, he's autistic. But he says fabulous words at the best times. And we all piss ourselves. So he's a little fat kid. He's awesome. But he says, I digress a lot. But anyway, yeah. So starting with my ex-husband. So shotgun wedding with his parents. They moved over to Australia from South Africa, Durban area. He went to school most of the time in South Africa, so he's got an strangely English upbringing. One of those very white classes schools. And he's also got the Boer Afrikaners cultural influence there. So there's a certain arrogance to that culture. I don't give a fuck who you are. If you've ever interacted with an Afrikaner, they treat their women like shit. I hate that culture. That's the main reason I hate that culture. Besides the accent gives me the shits. It's the Afrikaners. They don't know how to look after women. Are expected in that culture to be heavily subservient. I can't stand it. I come from Irish Viking stock, dude. You cannot make me fucking subservient. My mum's a Cockney. She was a skinhead. She'll fuck you up. We don't do subservient women. So there was already like conflict there. Anytime he tried to assert his dominance. And I did comply a lot because I just wanted it to work. But the arrogance of the situation, I didn't fucking like. I didn't like that he thought, you know, he could just be that fucking domineering and it would be okay. So I let a lot of shit slide for like 16 years because I'm sitting there thinking, well, this is just the way it is. We'll just keep going. I like to people please, or I was conditioned to people please at the time. And I wanted my marriage to work because I didn't believe in divorce at the time. And I still don't believe in divorce at the time, to be honest. I don't believe in divorce. I think it is a legitimate loophole to get the fuck out of a horrible situation, and it's not just a case of, oh, we stopped loving each other, or we can't be fucked sticking together, or I found someone else. I think you need to have real grounds for divorce before you can just, you know, fuck it, let's bounce, you know? And it's generally a case of infidelity. I had 4 reasons at one point why I would leave. I'm trying to remember them now. There was the 4 Ds or something like that. Oh no, it was A's. It was abuse, adultery, abandonment, death. I think it was something like that along those themes, the 4 ways out of a relationship. And I said, if he hits on any of those, I'll go. Because the year before I actually left, I was sitting there thinking, if this happens, I will leave. Because I was getting fed up by then. And he started showing real signs of the marriage breaking down and stuff like that. And it's always a case for me, if this happened, then I will do that. It was never a case of, I'm unhappy, I have to leave. It was always, you know, if this happens, then I will leave. And this guy, by the way, is giving me all the signs of infidelity and all this kind of thing, and I'm just ignoring them because I couldn't bring myself to leave. I just wanted it to work. It was stupid. I kept trying to convince myself to stay. And it was stupid because there was nothing worth staying for, to be honest. I was carrying us financially. He didn't love me. He was already looking outside the marriage for other people. He was the one that suggested an open marriage. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. I'm not that kind of person. So he'd already checked out. What he was trying to do was keep me in the house and someone else on the streets. And if he had an open marriage, then sure, it would work. And if I was compliant enough, it would work. And it didn't, because I'm not fucking that level compliant. I would be polite and nice and keep shit running. But if you make me question my morals, I'll stab you. It's like, no. To me, adultery, even condoned adultery, is the ultimate sin. I would take a murderer over, you know, someone who cheats. I would. Because you can accidentally murder someone. You can't accidentally slip and fuck someone. You know, it's accidents happen. That was not an accident in any fucking way. That's what bugs me. When arseholes turn around and say, I'm sorry, it was an accident. It wasn't a fucking accident. The only accident was on your part when you got caught, you jackass. It's never an accident. You can accidentally shoot someone. That's easy. I was cleaning my gun and I shot someone. I slipped and stabbed someone. That might happen. That's less inclined to happen, but it might happen. But fucking around, no. The only accident there was, you know, you getting caught. It's ridiculous. So, you know, if you want to, you know, do the right thing, murder someone instead of cheating on them. I don't know. But he wanted that open marriage, and I'm just like, I'm not that way. I never have been. I'm not the kind that sleeps around. I want the safe home environment. That's what I want. I've never had it. I didn't have it growing up. Bearing in mind that as far as I know, my dad never cheated on my mum, or vice versa. But I want that safe, quiet home. It's what I crave. That's what I'm designed to crave. And if you look at any of my astrological charts, you want to go that way. I am designed to seek out that safe environment, to create it if I can't find it. And so I will. And I do tend to do that every time. I find these fucked up people and I try to make safe homes with them. And I don't know why. Because they're fucked in the head and they destroy it every time. That's a weird character flaw on my part. But his mum cheated on his dad. So he's closer to his mum than he is to his dad. His dad's depressive. I have a feeling both of these people got trapped in a shotgun wedding that they didn't want, and they took it out on the eldest son. The youngest son didn't even fucking exist, to be honest. Even though he's probably the best one of the family, quite frankly. I did like him as a brother. He was a good brother. He's just a dopey fucker. But, you know. In turn, that eldest son, which is my ex-husband, developed an angry ego, which he took out on everyone. Little snotty comments and acts. He took it out a lot on his younger brother. And then on turn on his mum when he didn't get his own way, and then his grandma when he didn't get his own way. And I didn't think he'd turn it on me, but he fucking did. He turns it on me. You know, and that totally fucked up the relationship as well. It was just a case of him being a nasty little prick and it accumulating, snowballing. And he's trying to break your self-esteem and keep you under thumb. Because if you want to avoid those nasty little comments or actions or anything like that, you're going to be compliant to what he wants you to do. It's the eggshell method, right? So he had me as a emotional doormat for years. I wasn't that bad when I was younger, when I was 16, 17, because I still had that sort of semi-sense of freedom. I was still young and dumb. I don't know if I was full of cum, but that's a Chrissy thing. I've done a podcast. Well, I've talked about Chrissy and his young guys. But that's some other place. We're not going there. So, sorry, I'm just trying to navigate if I want to go to Perth or Bunbury. It's a long road. So, you know, and I'm being this, you know, it was a clusterfuck in the relationship, to be honest, because it had me being the wanting to keep the compliant, maintaining, looking for safe zones. And I saw his version of control as creating a safe zone. I was willing to follow him. And I even said on the last day we broke up, I cannot believe I was submissive to you. I couldn't believe it. Because I couldn't believe it. He was an asshole. But I wanted it to work. And I had so much faith in the relationship that it should work and it should keep going, that I was willing to take the shit and the punches. Well, not even the punches, actually. He didn't punch me. He was lovely in that regard. Thank you for not being domestically violent, ex-husband of mine. But he found other ways of being an egocentric, abusive bastard. And I just took it. But that one thing that broke the camel's back was making me question my morals. And it's like, you really fucking shouldn't have. If you wanted me to stay with you, you should have really just not been a whore. So, I don't know what to help him with that. But his mum was okay with it. I went to her when we separated. I said that your son is asking me for an open marriage. What do I do? I can't do this. I'm not, you know. I tried to get some kind of understanding from her, but it didn't work. She played partial. Not partial, partisan. Is a partisan where you're just pragmatist? You just sit on the fence? And I couldn't figure out why she wasn't sticking up for me, or why she wasn't saying anything. And I laid it up. I'm sitting there, I couldn't even get any sympathy out of this woman. I'm going, what the fuck? You've known me since I was 17. I'm now 33. Your son is asking for this. Can you at least give me some understanding? What is going on with some sympathy or something? He's asking to cheat. He's already cheating as far as we knew. But she just went, no words, no nothing, no support, no pulling him aside and saying, hey, have you even thought about what this does to your wife? Just nothing. She took his side, and it took me forever to figure it out, but it's like she took his side because she's the kind of person that did it to his dad. She has no fucking problem with cheating on his dad because she didn't get her way. Because the dad was a depressive. I don't think the dad cheated. I think he was just a miserable git. So, you know, but he was a miserable git because he was married to someone who didn't love him, didn't have a problem cheating on him. You know, it's you put yourself in that scenario. She left him for a younger guy and then married him. I don't know why she bothered getting married again if she has no problem cheating. So clearly you are not monogamous. You got no problem with doing it. You know, she got no conscience. As long as she can get what she wanted, she was fine. Fuck the guy she was married to. You know? It's like the honorable thing to do. If you are unhappy in your relationship is to leave first. Take the time to heal if you can, and then start looking for other people. You don't cheat in the relationship. It's fucking stupid. You are just damaging yourself further and the person you're with, even if you hate them. You don't cheat. Don't lower yourself to that fucking level, because then you're the asshole. It's like, just try and have some self-respect. Bugs the fuck out of me. But she had no problem with cheating on his dad. So that passed down to him, although the brother is not a cheater at all. I don't think he would ever go that way. He's so clean, it's ridiculous. He's dopey as fuck, but he's clean, you know? You can feel that kind of energy. He was like, I don't feel any kind of problems with you at all. You know, you can sit with someone and you're just like, you are safe as fuck, you are. You're dumb as fuck, but you're safe as fuck, you know? Like these, what do they call them? Labrador dogs, golden retriever dogs, boys, golden retriever boys. Where they're the blonde, blue-eyed, dopey, happy all the time ones. He was like that, but with like chestnut hair. He was always happy. I'm like, fuck you. How did you survive this family? He's the black sheep, but he's not like a creepy guy that goes off and does drugs and drinks a lot. Because he's the black sheep. He's the black sheep in the way that he's the nice one. And the rest of the family are fucked in there. I'm going, you go, man. I'm sticking with this one. He's a nice guy. He survives it all. And he's got epilepsy. So it's like, dude, you got pre-fucked in life and you still came out nice. That's what I like. I like seeing that. We'll keep up with that. It's fine. I like it. I wish I'd stayed in contact with him. He's a good guy. But no, that was like 4 years ago, so he fucked off. I cut everyone out when I divorced my ex-husband. Next one would be my nanny. Let's talk about my nanny. My nanny is my dad's mum. Now so this is Bob's wife. My dad's mum. Oh my God, talk about getting sucked into something she didn't want to fucking do. Under a pretense. My granddad Bob was not a faithful man. He was a ladies' man, which is why I hate the term. I hate it so much. I hate the term. Ladies' man. Because it just means you're a whore. It does. You're a whore with a dick. Nobody likes that. That's rancid. I don't know what kind of thing has glorified this. Maybe it's the culture where men are supposed to go and sow some fucking oats. I don't understand that either. Because those oats grow in the end and they come looking for fucking child payments. So why would you be that fucking stupid? I don't know. Guys are dumb. Or at least that part of the male culture is dumb. You don't see women going and sowing oats. Because we know we have to carry the fucking thing for 9 months. And then we're stuck with it. So anyone in their right mind that's female, has capability of breeding, don't fucking do it like that. That's all I'm saying. We got the contraceptive pill, maybe, so we got some more freedom, yes, but still, it's the self-respect just isn't there. Don't do it. You will lose your self-respect trying to keep up with a bunch of dumb men. Don't do it. You're more valuable than that anyway. Way more valuable. That's why we send guys to war, because they're fucking stupid and they'll do it. Come on. We're big and tough. Sure you are, big boy. Sure you are. Go on then. Here's a knife. No, fuck it. Here's a spoon. Let's see how really tough you are. Fucking right. Anyway, we send guys for a reason. Keep girls at home for a reason. Let's just not let them in on that. But that's the thing. It's like, we want them to protect us, but it's half the time these fuckers are starting the fights that they're getting involved with. The women don't really start the fights. We're about the safety. So it's like, you send women into war to fight men's wars. It doesn't make sense, does it? But you wanted equality. No, we wanted you to stop being stupid. That's generally it. And stop fucking around. And if you could fucking pick up your rubbish and the plates, that would be nice too. Because you're an adult, right? I don't know. There's a lot to unload there. A lot to unpack. There's a whole discussion right there. Anyway, we'll have that another time. I've lost track of where we are. My nanny. Cockney nanny. Irish Cockney. She's from, I don't know where her family's from, but her last name was Roberts, so she's either Welsh or Irish. I think she's Irish. So I've got Irish on both sides of the family. Why are you crazy? I don't fucking know. But now this is a thing that went around when we talk about when my granddad proposed to my nanny. He did it as a bet to his friends. He came back from leave because he was during the Second World War. Came back from leave, proposed to her as a bet to one of his friends. Not that he actually loved her. I don't know if he actually loved her. but they ended up getting married, and then they had my dad. And I think my nanny might have had ideas that this was going to be a better relationship than she thought it turned out to be. It was done on a whim. My dad was born, she miscarried their first child, and then my dad was born. So she already got some fucked up trauma from the miscarriage. I wouldn't know that one personally, because I've had two. I know what it feels like. Meanwhile, the dad's away, so she's on her own feeling this miscarriage and the fallout from that. And then she had my dad, which she nearly lost as well. So she's got her only child, which she spoils. There was no more after that, because she was just infertile, as far as we know. My dad is ADHD. At the time, he was a tearaway, to say the least. She had to tie him by a belt to the table, kitchen table, because he kept getting into everything. And he would keep breaking stuff and stuff like that. He was just incredibly irresponsible as well. And she would just sit there and just, head in her hands. From the stories from what I've heard, and this is from Bob, now he's biased because he didn't like her, and really, particularly towards the end anymore, I didn't think. But she would just sit in her heads and let him break stuff. And the washing wouldn't get done, and all the sort of 1950s generic women's roles wouldn't be fulfilled. So the house was a tip. And my mum used to go in when she was dating my dad, when she was about 16, 17. She'd go in and clean the house and do the washing for them because it was just a shit show. So there was some kind of disconnect between my nanny doing the parenting thing. I don't know if she just couldn't handle it, or she couldn't handle the situation she was in. She found herself in circumstances, and Bob's sitting there fucking around because he's Bob, and that's the way he expresses his self-value, is to whore around. Although he never would admit to it. And he left her. He divorced her after 38 years because he said she was killing him. And I'm sitting there thinking, wait a minute, the stage is set here. Were you whoring around on Nanny and she finally kicked the shits out of you, sort of thing, stood up for herself, and then suddenly you're the victim? I've seen this before, He would play the victim. He whored around on her, broke her heart, trapped her in a relationship, and of course divorce wasn't a thing at the time, and then, left her because she wouldn't do what he wanted her to do. That's, what the fuck? 38 years she washed down the door. I can understand her bitterness at the end. I mean, she never remarried. She never found someone else, as far as we know. Although she did buy an amazing apartment in Norfolk. And I'm sitting there going, where did you get all this money from, Nanny? So it's like, she handled her shit in the end. Maybe she had her heart broken too much. To the point where she didn't want anyone after him. And I can understand that, because Bob was a bit of a bastard. More than a bit of a bastard. I mean, imagine if you're going to you risk running into another one of them. I wouldn't want one of them. But, it's that kind of thing that's come through our family line, where I've seen case after case after case of women getting fucked over by empty promises of men who started off with an idea, wanted to look good, and then fucked it in the end, kind of thing. It's like halfway through, or even at the start. But you're so sucked into it with a mortgage and kids and marriage that you're like, I can't fucking leave. Horrible, horrible experiences. But she made my dad, who is a selfish little bastard in his own right, weaponize his incompetence, half-assed does things. He half-assed does things so someone else will finish it for him. He's the product of basically a misogynist, I think, mixed with my nanny, who was anxious attachment, but now turned out to be, at the end, very bitter, because she was just let down, basically. And she didn't, I don't think she ever dealt with the fallout from the relationship, because even up until the end, she had a grudge against him. Bob the bastard. Although, on her deathbed, she was calling out for Bobby, so it's kind of sad. So, I don't know if that she still loved him at the end. Which is horrible. Can you imagine holding a candle for someone for the rest of your life, knowing that he's fucking around on you? Yes, I've done that before. 16 years I held a candle for someone, knowing that they were fucking around. Yes. Gee, I wonder who that was. Anyway. But, she came over to live with us in Australia for the last couple of months of her life. Bob died on February 14th. Nanny died in May, around about mid-May, same year, 2018. Just old age. Bob died from a heart attack, we think. She died from old age. But you know, it was. I wish I'd known her better. Like, given knowing the circumstances around her life, like what got her to that position, why she turned out like this, I wish I'd known her better. A lot of the women in my family, I wish I'd known better. Just because, you know, they've come through fucked up circumstances, but they come out strong, you know? They might have come out a bit mentally fucked up. Like my grandma, who was a raging alcoholic. But they came out still, given the amount of weight that was placed on their shoulders. From relying on people with their empty promises. But yeah, my dad, that was shit that was a product of my dad. What else is there? My grandma made my mom. Yep, we've done that one. So the intergenerational curses, bringing all that down to me and my generation in my family with us 4 kids. It's a case of trying to break down, first of all, men that treat us like shit, or incompetent men, paired with my mum's issues of control and not wanting us to lead the same kind of life that she had to lead, which resulted in physical violence and trauma on us. A lot of us, like 2 out of 4 kids, decided not to have kids just because we don't want to risk that shit turning into her. It's a lot of fucked up stuff to break down and try and process. And at the same time, you're still trying to live your own life and going through adult stuff, or like your own poverty cycles, or trying to work to get out of debt, or divorce, or dealing with other people's shit. And it's easy to just push it to the side and say, I can't deal with this shit right now. I'm just working with the immediate issues. But you know, that's the value of silence and violence. Violence. Yes, that's there too. The value of silence and being alone. If you listen to those other podcasts, you've got to take time out somehow to just sit in an empty fucking room and think and try and process. The problem is that we don't. We don't want to break the intergenerational curses. It's too easy just to perpetuate and make it someone else's problem, which is a nightmare because it's your own kids that are suffering because you're doing this. I still wake up with those nightmares. As I said at the start of the podcast, I still wake up with PTS nightmares of my dad getting me on the floor, or my mom trying to confront her about what the fuck she's done to us. And they just don't listen, or they don't want to know, or they don't want to acknowledge the place or part they had in this because it's inconvenient for them, or they might have to address their own issues. They don't want to do it. So the real heavy work is left by the next generation. My brother is, you know, he's suffering a marriage, to be honest, with a very passive-aggressive, controlling wife because he can't handle, you know, standing up for himself. He's still in the people-pleaser, doormat era. He will stand up for himself, I think, at some point because he will lose his shit, but it's going to be something huge to make him do it, which is going to be horrible, like a heart attack or something I can see happening. It will be something horrible. She will leave, most likely, I have a feeling, because she's the pushy kind. She'll take the kids, and that's what he's trying to avoid, because he doesn't want to lose the girls. Right before she had the second one, he was talking to me about how he wanted to just, you know, stop. But then suddenly, oh, I'm pregnant again, and oh, guess what? We're having another kid. It's like, oh, for fuck's sake, Joey. This is not a Band-Aid solution shit. But she was, yeah, he was all on board to kind of, you know, I might get a divorce, I don't know how this is going, I don't feel real right about this relationship sort of thing. He was having his doubts, and then suddenly she's pregnant, and suddenly, oh, this is another baby we have to look after, and so, you know, and that trick gets played a lot, from what I can see, with certain types of women. I'm not saying all women, obviously, but there are certain types of women that like a particular way of living, and so they get pregnant a second time, a third time, a fourth time to try and hold on to these guys and these ways of living, which is possible, yeah. Sometimes it happens accidentally. That was not an accident. But at the same time, there's also that, you know, that level of guys that are tricking us into staying in these relationships who will probably do the same thing back if they could. Whereas if I get her pregnant again, she has to stay. So you've got to understand both sides of the coin. What woman would leave a guy when she's barefoot and pregnant? Very brave fucking woman, I can tell you. If you do, good job for you. Fuck them. Can you imagine being barefoot and pregnant at the time and finding out that your husband's cheating on you? And he's got someone else knocked up. And you're sitting there going, fuck you, guy. You know, can you imagine that scenario? That would be hell. And then you've got to muster all your shit together and you're already fucking tired and you're 9 months and you can't get your shit together because you can't even shit properly on schedule or something like that. And you got kids already looking after and you've got to leave a house with no money or a shirt on your back or something like that. Can you imagine the immense stress and strength you would need to deal with that shit? That would be fucking phenomenal. I would be thoroughly fucking impressed with any woman that can do that, to get away from a bastard ex-husband like that. I mean, how angry would you have to be to do that? And that's when we use anger properly. You know? He's like, you use that rage and you make it work, you know? So I have no problem with like single mothers. And the amount of mums I've taught with alongside as a teacher, or as like, working with my EAs, my ed support, my education assistants, which are like nurses to doctors. They're always extra hands, always appreciated. Amazing women, usually women, sometimes guys. But, you know, they've gone through all this trauma and shit, and we share stories at lunchtime. We talk about things like that because, I don't know about guys, but women do talk. We compare notes. And we share our traumas. And it's a lot of stuff. And the amount of women in this one school currently where I'm working at, where they've got kids to guys that bailed, it's phenomenal. And I'm not saying that guys should stay with women just because they got kids. If it's a toxic environment for either party, then fucking leave. It doesn't matter your sex. Doesn't matter the circumstance. If it's toxic, it's toxic. If one person has driven the relationship into the toxicity, it is because of, like, I don't know, financial leeching or something like that. If they're driving you into poverty, if you're dirt poor, because this person will not fucking stop spending, or, you know, they just don't think they should have to work or anything like that. They're not pulling their weight, then absolutely you have a right to leave. Kids or no kids, you'll find a way. And it's all well and good for me to say that as an outsider whose kids essentially died at conception. So, you know, I can say that because I've not lived the experience of being an actual parent, although I am a surrogate parent to many at this point, funny enough. As a teacher, that is. It's easy to say that, but at the same time, you know the toxicity is just going to get taken out of your kids if you stay. If you look at my parents, they should have been divorced, I think, before the big jump to Australia, I think. Because you have my brother and my older brother and sister there. They were toddlers when they did the big jump. That should have been the life-changing time that they said, is this relationship working? But instead of actually, you know, assessing it, is it working? They decide to elope to a different country, blame it on Bob, an interfering nanny, and then fuck it up in a different country on their own. So, you know, it's like it wasn't necessarily Bob or nanny. It might have been some of them, but also it was their own predisposition to be a bit fucking useless. And then blame someone else because they don't like taking accountability. They should have questioned at the big jump. Am I doing the right thing? Is this a good relationship? Is this where I should be going with my kids? But no, they did the big jump, bought a house, had 2 other kids, and then went into poverty cycles. It's like, this is not. It's strained on the relationship. They're still together, but it's more trauma bonding than it is love. And it's like, what the fuck are you two together for? Because all you do is have arguments from either end of the house. It's not love anymore. It's a fucked up love language. I don't get this. It's weird to watch. And then, of course, you take it out on the kids, and the kids are traumatized. All 4 of us are traumatized in one way or another from the fucked up relationships we have with our parents, among other things. Like, other shit happened to us as well, outside of the family. Bearing in mind, no one is immune to shit happening outside of their family. But it would have been nice to have a stable environment to lean back on, right? To know that you have parents you can go to for help, even if they've got no money and it's just emotional help. I need emotional support. I need someone to vent to, where it's not going to be a pissing competition. And it is always a pissing competition when I run into my mum. I said, what did I say the other day? I had the flu. She goes, oh, I'm going in for hip surgery soon. I was like, well, Okay, all right, where did this come from? This random fucking conversation. Oh, your sister's dying as well. It's like, what is this? This fucking pissing competition. All I said was I felt sick. You're not allowed to own your own feelings. It's got to be marked up against someone else's. There's always a fucking competition. Oh, it's crazy. This is why I didn't bother, going to them directly when I got divorced, because I knew they wouldn't fucking understand. First of all, they don't believe in divorce themselves, but in a very strict, different way. My brother was more open about it. He's like, are you absolutely sure that you can't fix this? And I'm sitting there going, there's no fucking way I can live with an open marriage, dude. This is unfixable. Plus, no trust at all. It's like, how do I live with this person, even if they don't fucking find someone else? How do I live with this person that's broken this much, where it's just dissolved it, where I can't trust them, I can't live with them, I can't even look them in the eye? How do you do that? I don't know. But it set the tone. It's like it's good though, because it gives you a benchmark as to what you don't want in life. It's like, I knew when I dated my ex-boyfriend and shit hit the fan that I started thinking, do I want to spend the rest of my life living like my parents? The answer was a clear cut fuck no. Because not only was it like my parents, it was like Nanny and Bob as well, because Bob was a whore. And I found evidence of cheating from my ex-boyfriend, and I'm going, look, I've got a combination of my dad and my granddad Bob here. Do I really want this? And he's a broke fucker too. So I'm like, I don't want this. I'm gonna pass this plate on to the next hoe. Whatever you did to get him, congratulations, you won the lotto. Here's a broke asshole. He's all yours. Oh my gosh. That's the funny thing though, they think they won. It's like, I broke up them. It's like, oh, did you? You did me a favor, darling. I got shit tons of money now. I live in a clean environment away from whores and nobody's cheating on me. I am having the time of my fucking life working on my projects, and I feel amazing because I don't have to compete with hoes just to get my boyfriend's affections and attentions. It's wonderful. You think it's going to be a traumatic thing, but to be honest, any affection I have for him died in the relationship. Or should I say, situationship. That was not a relationship. That never got off the ground. He never wanted it to, and that's why he never did labels or anything. I don't believe in labels. I don't make plans. Let's just see where this goes. It goes nowhere. You're a drop kick. Fuck off. That's what I should have been saying. But I'm sitting there going, oh, maybe he's just got a problem. He's just got trauma. Maybe he's just shy. Or maybe he's a bit emotionally unavailable because he's been hurt. He's been hurt a lot. And I kept trying to make these excuses for this fuck up. I'm sitting there going, no, clear cut and forward, this guy is a fuck up. Stop trying to make him to be something he isn't. Stop trying to see the best in him. There isn't any best. He's shown you for the last 20 years that he has no best. Ex-boyfriends, they're fun. It wasn't like a case of I didn't know him 16 years ago. It's like, when he initially lit that candle I had for him, I was early 20s. This was the first time I had sex with him. I tried to interact with him. He just wanted a fuck buddy then. Okay? I should have seen that then. I didn't have the maturity in me to understand this is what he wanted. I thought maybe he might like me. It's like, no, he just wants a hole. It's like, that was it. I was romanticizing this thing. It's like, oh, he's a lovely person. He's not. He was a drunk asshole that uses his words to get girls drunk so he can fuck them. And it's so fucking cliche. I don't know why I didn't see it. But with my aging and my cynicism developing, I started to put the shit together. I'm like, right, I know what you are now. So when I saw the trends of, the shit turning up again when I actually decided to date him, I didn't go in all naive and young and not understanding what was happening. I went in very reasonably minded. I said, there's a guy I used to know who used to be, a hoe. It's been 16 years. Let's see if he can get his shit together. But he did not. So I'm like, okay, this is you now. This was you 16 years ago? You have not changed. That is not a good thing. You know how someone says, oh, you haven't changed this day. And you go, oh, thanks, no, this is a compliment. Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, you should have fucking changed, dickhead. You should have changed. You are 40. This is ridiculous. You are going to die alone. That's just where it is. You're going to have either some hideously hideous troll bitch following you around for your money, like Bob did. We had, what we used to call her, the Scottish troll. She was a Scottish troll, and she was hideous. But she was the only one that would hang around him, and she wanted his money. And we knew that, because every time she wanted something, he stuck his hand in his pocket and gave it to her. It's like, she didn't actually like him, but she hung around him for pay. Yeah, there are words for things like that. I just won't say it right now because we don't even know if they were fucking. But that's the thing, it's like no one wanted to be around him because he was a whore. Anyone who had any feeling, and I met some of his girlfriends as he was later post-divorce dating. I met some of his girlfriends because he used to bring them around and used to show them off and shit. And he used to give them things and he, neglect his family. The only reason he wanted us around was to meet people that he could show off and then buy shit for and then fuck them off. It was a weird dynamic. Yeah, your family's living in poverty. Why aren't you trying to help them as the grandfather of the family? You can see your son struggling. Why aren't you trying to help them? Oh no, I've got tarts to fund. Right, okay. That's our inheritance, cunt. I don't know. It was a weird dynamic. But that's the thing, it's like, they go after him for his money. They were all gold diggers. She was just a particularly hideous one that stuck around long enough. He had nice girlfriends. Bob had a really nice girlfriend called Coral, who was alternative. She lived in Preston Beach. She was lovely. Nice manners, dressed nice, always polite, always lovely. I remember her cooking us dinner as kids one time because Bob got babysitting duties for some reason. Irresponsible on my parents' part, but sure. And she was lovely. She looked after us. And then she broke up with him because he fucked around on her. And it was a repeated pattern of fucking around with people outside of the relationship he's in. And she didn't stomach it, and she did the right thing, told him to fuck off. But she was lovely. But he ended up with an absolute troll. Because no one else wanted to be around him. None of the nice people wanted to be around him. Because as soon as they got latched on, he showed them why they shouldn't be latched on. And it was like, this guy's actually an asshole. That's the thing. It's like, that's the guy that we grew up with. That's my dad's role model for masculinity. It's just fucked up. Anyway, what else have we got to talk about? This is a long road trip. Sorry, guys. I'm probably boring the tits off you. Oh, look, a Ford Ranger that didn't fucking indicate. I should put the camera on this. My sister Laura is in a relationship with a fairly alright guy. He is a good provider. He is a good father, as far as I see. As far as I know, he is loyal. He is monogamous. That's basic relationship shit, right? The only problem I have with him is that he's a bigot, essentially, with the belief system thing. I can't stand someone who's got that closed mind where they won't let the other person have their belief systems. And I'm talking about belief systems, not the fact that you're going to fuck around on me and I don't agree with this. That affects the other person directly. That's a joint issue. These are my beliefs. I want these beliefs. They are my beliefs because I created them, I made them, I own them. It's like, this is someone else telling you what you should think. I don't like that. I don't think that's a good thing to do. She's a Jehovah's Witness, or wants to be. I don't know if she's still doing it now. I don't know what he is. I think he's an atheist. But she's a people pleaser. And because, my dad was a berserker every time religion or politics was brought up in the house, she now has a fear of expressing her desire for beliefs in any kind of fucking way. So she hides it. She takes all her Bibles and all her books and all her things and she puts it in a suitcase while he's away while he's at home. And then when he fucks off back to work, I think it's like a 3 week on, 3 week off or something like that. He flies out, she brings all her stuff out and she goes and does her things. See, that's a problem in any kind of relationship where you have to hide your belief systems. You have to hide shit from your partner. That tells me that you can't rely on that person, you can't trust them. It's like, if I have to hide shit from you, if I don't feel safe around you enough to even just have thoughts or beliefs, then that's worrying, isn't it? There's no stability there. You can't feel comfortable. You never let down your guard. It doesn't make sense. I never had that problem with my ex-husband, luckily, but I never really reached for anything for myself with my ex-husband. I was constantly chasing him and what he wanted to do. I would love to know what he thinks of me now, because I am spiritual, to say the least. I doubt he'd give a fuck. His mum was leaning that way when I left anyway, so probably I'm just another version of his mum. The monogamous one. With stability and not, exploitative powers over her children. But, it's luckily he didn't have that. I didn't have that problem when I was married, but I did have it growing up from my dad. My dad was a berserker. He doesn't like us doing anything that wasn't what he wanted us to do, particularly with religion or politics. When the 9/11 shit went down and all the terrorism stuff like that, the amount of his anti-Islamic rants this fucker went on. Oh my God. He is such a fucking bigot. So when my ex-boyfriend started exhibiting the same kind of bigoted mindset about not letting me, do astrology and shit like that, I started really turning away from him. I'm like, I've seen this shit before. I was raised with this shit. I'm not going to let this one be passed on to me. This is what my dad does. So I made a decision for me there. I'm saying, no, you don't get to fucking tell me what to do. I was already in that scenario, that context where I couldn't escape from it the first time for the first 20 years of my life because, I'm a kid. Here I have a choice as an adult to say, fuck no, you get the fuck away from me. No, you don't get to fucking tell me what the fuck to do, ever. No one does. No one fucking does. I will adhere to laws, country and state and everything law, simply because I want to avoid prison. But this shit is perfectly legal and you got no say in what the fuck I do. Now shut the fuck up, It's like, you don't get to tell me what to do. I didn't tell him what to do. I did not. I made that absolutely clear. It's like, I don't give a fuck if you're an atheist. Actually, tell the truth, he's Church of Satan, but he claims to be an atheist. I'm going, first of all, if you align yourself with the Church of Satan, inadvertently you already set the tone that God may exist. So technically you're not fucking an atheist, really, are you? You can't just own the word Satan in your religious beliefs and not see the dichotomy you just fucking created, you fucking idiot. It's a paradox. You're not an atheist. You do believe in God. You just won't admit that he's there. Atheists don't believe in shit. It's like one perpetual existential crisis. That's what makes it fun to watch when they cry. You guys got nothing to live for. Anyway, so this... Is that too dark? I don't know. But that's the thing. It's like he was denying me my belief system, and he wasn't doing it in a... he wasn't really doing it in a subtle way either. It was just, every time I brought anything up like that, he would just sit there and criticize it. And he'd wait till he's away from his friends, because we used to sit in the pub. And one time I brought up, because we were talking about star signs or something like that, and I'll do it for fun, because it's like, I love it, it's cute, it's fun little gimmicky trick kind of thing, talking about star signs, because nobody actually lives up to their star signs, do they? Obviously, that's the joke. That's why we have birth charts. Anyone in the knows what I'm going on about. But I brought it up, and he waited until we were away from his friends so he wouldn't look bad, and then he ripped into me about these fucking star signs, and I'm sitting there going, I was just talking about it, sort of thing, and he would not let me have this shit. He kept, I'm going, dude, fucking hell. It's like, and then I just let loose, because I'm like, I'm not fucking doing this, not dating my dad, fuck you, no. It was just all these contributing factors. Everything that was an intergenerational curse that my women had faced in my family was coming up in the figure of this one fucking guy. I'm going, this cunt is going down. So when a woman has daddy issues, maybe you should start thinking about what behaviors you've got that are triggering her to react. What are you doing that she's seen before a billion times and hates? So, with my case, my daddy issues are bigoted men who can't wipe their own ass, who don't want to support their own family, who are financially inept, and berserkers. So if you've got any of those issues, you might want to fucking leave, because I'm not tolerating them and they will be a trigger. That's what we got to take into context. It's like some people get triggered by shit, things that you don't even register because maybe you haven't survived that environment, and then they see that you're doing something similar or the same thing or something worse, and then it just triggers something. And you don't realize you're doing it, but it starts something. Then suddenly you start thinking, oh my gosh, she's crazy. It's like, no, you just found the nerve. You found the nerve. And you didn't just touch it, you banged on it. You stabbed it. What did you do? So maybe compassion is the way we need to start looking at things like that. I must have pissed him off somehow. Something I was doing, obviously, because he kept telling me things like I wasn't liberal enough. And I know I wasn't liberal enough to sleep around and be in open relationships. I know what he was getting at. I'm not stupid. Because the conversation that, came before it was about Hohen. And he's like, you're just not liberal enough. I'm like, you mean I'm not going to let you fuck around on me? Yeah, I guess I'm not. Fuck that. I'm not liberal enough. Fuck it, we'll go with that. Sure. And I'm the one complaining about someone else's spiritual beliefs. Sure, I'm the bigot. Fuck it. That's the thing. It's like that was one of the things that was the problem. And I would be a hypocrite if I didn't bring it up, right? Because I'd be talking about him not tolerating my belief systems about, spirituality, divinism, and all that shit, without saying I didn't tolerate his polyamory. I suppose it was polyamory, if you want to put a nice word to it. Being a whore would be the not nice word. Yeah. Cheating also, that would be the not nice word that they don't seem to like, but, can't take accountability for their actions over. I didn't tolerate that, so I guess I'm a bit of a hypocrite in that regard. But I did say at the start I needed to be monogamous, and he said I'll try to be monogamous. That was the problem. He tried to create a loophole there. I will try to be monogamous. What do you mean try? Either you are or you aren't. You can't, that's even an affirmative or a negatory. You don't, you can't grey area that shit. I'll try. No, you won't try, you will do. Listen to Yoda, fucker. There's no can, try. There's only do. I should have called him on that. That was another fucking red flag. Lack of accountability. Because if he says I'll try, then maybe he did try. Or maybe he didn't fucking try hard enough. Because I found the evidence, you dumb shit. So I'm a bit of a hypocrite. I will admit that. I'm a hypocrite in that I won't tolerate things like that. I also won't tolerate fucking baby murdering. Or, rape. I also won't tolerate that. So you can be a bigot to a degree and it's acceptable, but at the same time you can be a bigot and it's unacceptable. If it is a do no harm situation, like someone's spiritual beliefs where they're not hurting anyone and they're just leading by example, then that's fine. If he was polyamorous outside of our relationship and he said this works for me, suggests it, and I say I'll give it a go, and then I decide for myself no, I don't like it, and I say I don't like it, I'm not doing it, then that's justifiable, right? Cheating, me being involuntarily involved in a three-way, without knowing because he lied and cheated and hid it. Yeah, not cool, dickhole. Not cool. And then there's that dumb shit he says, it's like, she knew what she was getting into. I'm like, no, I didn't, because you lied about it. You lied up front about it. I didn't know what I was getting into. You sold me a product based on bullshit. I feel it was like a Demtel ad. Bullshit. These steak knives cut shoes. No, they fucking don't. I can't even stab someone with it. Stupid ads. Send it back. You can't send it back. You knew what you were getting into. Fuck you, Demtel. How old am I that I remember that shit? Anyway. So that's the thing. We got to keep breaking these trauma crosses. I'm nearly at my place now, my mum's farm. The compassion part is the hard side of it. Because you're trying to feel sorry or sympathize with these people that have traumatized you for your majority of your life. I know I'm walking into a shitstorm of bullshit as soon as I step out of the car. But we're trying to heal wounds, right? And in so doing, we don't avoid the wound. We face the wound. Because if you don't know where the wound fucking is, you can't dig out the poison and clean it out and sew it up. Okay, I've talked about gunshot wounds before. In one of my previous podcasts, I know about that. There's just no point. If you keep looking away and trying to hide it and cover it up, you're never going to get to the gross pussy bit that needs to be cleaned out. Okay? It's not going to smell like almonds for long. Okay? You're going to need to go in and clean it out. Even if you're on your own and all you have is a piece of rope and a fucking rag, you got to get in there. This shit's not going to heal itself. Gross. I love gross shit. Anyway. Yeah, but so now I'm currently on the last strip of land. Oh, look, horses. Before I get to my parents' house, they're not my parents' horses. My parents have nothing. My parents are bad at farming. Terrible farmers. Anyway, I think that whole house, that whole farm just needs to be demolished and sold off. It's just a shit show. Anyway, that's my opinion on that. We're facing the wounds. We're going to go, what do they call it? With my therapist used to say, my psychologist used to say, it's exposure therapy. We're looking right at it. We're looking at the problem. We're dissecting it. We're facing it. We're trying not to let them make new fucking poison. That's what I got to keep remembering. And we're remembering that they're working out of their own wounds, their own unhealed trauma. They haven't even looked at their cuts. They haven't done their homework. They're not trying to heal the wounds. They're just trying to keep chugging along. And for some people, that's okay. You won't get very far. And you'll keep tripping yourself up and self-sabotaging, but that's fine. That's not us. The only thing we can control is us and ourselves. And we'll just keep remembering that. Even if it annoys the absolute shit out of you. Like my sister goes home from the farm feeling like shit because the first thing they do is they talk about how fat she's got. Every time. Every time without fail. And then they'll say, when you got a boyfriend? And then they'll say, is it because you're fat? And, this is why she never visits. And I go with her sometimes, my younger sister that is, and they're all quite portly. But what my parents fail to understand is the only reason my fucking sister is fat is because she emotionally eats, and every time she comes down here, she gets, dumped on. It's the same as my brother. My older sister drinks when her husband comes home. That's kind of worrying. And that's when she stacks on the way. But they don't seem to see the cause and effect of the interactions with them. It's like, I will be crying on the way home. I can almost 9 out of 10 times guarantee it. I did it last time. It's like a stress relief to come home, to have to deal with their shit one more time, and then to leave. And by the time I am halfway home, I'm bawling. Because I hate this shit. I really do. I'm not afraid to cry at this point. My parents tried to beat that shit out of me. But at this point, I'm old enough. I know it's important. It needs to happen. It's just a biological response to some horrible shit that went down. And it's okay to cry. Guys can cry. Girls can cry. Anyone can cry. Fucking cry. Just do it. You feel so much better afterwards. Stress relief. It's absolutely fine. It's just your eyes leaking. That's fine. Do it. Do it. Send it to tell Palpatine in my head. Just do it. If you have to do it in the shower or on the toilet, like I do frequently, because I'm an adult, then that's fine too. You don't have to show people that you cry. That's okay. If you need to do it in a quiet area so you can get all your shit in your brain together and just fucking let it out, do it. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. And you feel better for it. And I'm usually quite bouncy afterwards. And I'll usually be cracking jokes all the way through because I'm incredibly insecure when it comes to my crying still. I'll be sitting there trying to make myself laugh. I'm alone in the fucking house trying to crack jokes about crying while I'm crying. About shit someone else did to me. It's like, it's fine. Oh, you're such a pussy. Stop calling me a pussy. We're calling us a pussy. Oh, that's all right then. It doesn't make sense, I know, but you got to get through it, right? I wouldn't suggest doing anything damaging to yourself, though, if you can avoid it. Like, I still got trichotillomania, which is skin cutting. I still got that. I try to avoid it. I'm still trying to heal it, because every now and again it comes up in waves where I just go fucking nuts, and then I gotta fucking heal it again with a shitload of Sudocrem. That's part of ASD, that's part of my parents. That's a predisposition of, what I was told is, okay, I have ASD, yes, that's already put me prone to a certain number of things. It's like people who have addiction are already prone to a certain number of things. There are certain structures in the brain, chemicals, which have a predisposition. Addiction, ASD, things like that, depression, predisposed to it. It is compounded by the situations and circumstances which then land on top of that. Okay, so you've got your platform of already weird scenarios happening. That, they told me, is where my PTS comes from. It is the combination of loud noises, overdosing on sensory experiences, like getting hit and stuff like that. Got a shitload of trauma, generalized social anxiety. My OCD is because I'm afraid to be wrong. Not that it's an ego thing, but it's a physical violence infliction thing. I'm not afraid to verbally be wrong. That's the thing. That was what blew her mind, my psych's mind. She's like, you're okay with being... Oh, hang on a sec. I got a Land Cruiser trying to cram its way in. You bastard. I'm not... I have no problem with being wrong. I have no problem with being wrong in front of other people. In fact, most of my life I was wrong. So I'm cool with that. It's the perfectionist side of things. If it's coming out of me where I've been given a task to do, I have to do it perfectly. If I can't get it done perfectly, then it's a failure from my mum. My mum has been living via proxy through my actions as her child. Does that make sense? If I get it wrong, it's a bad reflection on her. She will take it out on me. It's like a cycle. Does that make sense? I think so. So I subconsciously, and this is still part of the conditioning I was talking about earlier, where they can't ask me to do something, they'll tell me to do something. It's part of that whole thing, the compliance thing, the conditioning thing. It's like my subconscious brain is afraid to get anything wrong, because if I get anything wrong, then she'll find me again. She'll find me. I'm nearly 40. I don't give a fuck if she finds me. She's flabby and frail. I can take the bitch. But you know, my child brain, which has been stunted, which is probably why I can't understand what's happening most of the time when it comes to relationships and stuff, like interacting with people who just casually are able to talk to each other and stuff, has been stunted. When she's around or when it's a task like that, I'm still stuck as a child because I can't break that mindset that I'm, you know, a fucking adult now. I can do whatever the fuck I want. I can go and buy a birthday cake and eat the fucking thing in a car, or rub it all over my fucking face if I want to, because I'm a fucking adult and no one's going to say otherwise. They'll say, ooh, that's a bit weird, and they'll probably join in. But you know, it's a weird conditioning response, and that's where your boundaries come in. You got to keep breaking the shit that they made, the structures that they made. It's weird. And it's okay to get it wrong, and you fail all the time. And I've done a podcast about failure, and I'm absolutely on board. It's fine to fail, but it's easier said than done. You know, it's like I don't want to fail, but you're gonna fail. Okay, fuck it. So and it's taken me years to be okay with being wrong and failing and stuff like that. It's not a case of I'm so fabulous and wonderful, I'm never wrong, and therefore I am. You know, it's a case of if I get this wrong, she's gonna find me. She'll bring something, a stick, a weapon. She'll have something. She'll have a shoe. It's not like a case of I don't want to disappoint my parents. I could give a fuck. I could care less if I disappoint them. I know at my stage in life I'm outdoing them, which is why they get pissy at me now. I told them the other day how much I had saved up for my house, and they were like, oh my god. And they always question my capability constantly. When I moved into that apartment that I moved into now, it's an okay rent, it's a nice apartment, it's a safe area, it's a well-off apartment, right? Nice area. Are you sure you can afford it? It's like, yes. Otherwise, hey, look at that. They wouldn't have given me the fucking paperwork for it. This is not a case of we're trying to get you in debt. This is a case of I've proven financially I can do this. Just what? It's like there's no support there. It's a weird parental thing. And more curses I need to break. More shit. Just unsupportive parents in general. It's always that doubt. It's like, you fucking raised me. Why would you have this doubt about my capabilities? Are you saying that you don't have any kind of investment in your own capabilities? Am I not just a direct reflection of what you put in me? Importance of being honest? No? Was it important to being honest? I don't know. You may be a blade, so what if I cut? Maybe a knife, so what if I cut? There's something in there. Great expectations, that's what it was. So, I'm going to have to stop this podcast soon because literally up the street, and I don't want my parents to see me talking to myself in my car, because that will raise a whole conversation of what the fuck with these two idiots. So, I'm going to... Teenagers, eh? I'm going to cut it short, about 20 meters. And I'm hoping you guys have a fantastic Saturday. I'm sorry if I bored your tits off. At least you can put it in the background and have this as white noise. I'm hoping you have a fantastic week. If I don't see you, this is my last podcast, so I'm just not going to do any more after this for 2 weeks. I'm on AWOL. And I hope you have a fantastic weekend, because it is Saturday. Okay? I'll see you later.